All right, welcome back everybody to day 8 of Intro to Coding Self-Paced. We are going to continue from where we left off and do mini project number 2, which is going to be recreating the Powerball logic. Uh, Mini projects, as you guys saw yesterday or Monday, are helping us bring all the tools that we have learned and putting them together in some small little exercises. We call them mini projects. Really, they're just like much more bigger, complex exercises to see how we can leverage those tools that we've been discussing and apply them to get a solution, right? And these give you a pretty good understanding of how it would be if you're presented with some kind of coding exercise to solve a solution or to solve a question and to reach a solution, right? Um, so let's go ahead and just kind of jump into it real quick. Before we actually talk about the problem, I want to kind of just reemphasize what we have learned up to this point, right? Here I have a tool belt, right? This is y'all's tool belt that you have been working on since you have started this course, right? When you first got here, if you have never coded before, you probably didn't have anything in this tool belt, right? What is the first thing that we have covered? The first item that you guys added into your tool belt? Who remembers?
Was it variables?
Let's go with variables, right? We had variables. What about variables? What did we learn?
Assignment, assignment and reassignment.
Assignments, right? Reassignments, assignment. Yeah. All right, that's good. So variables was one. What's the next thing? So the first thing was really variables. What's the other tools that we got on day one?
Data types?
Data types, however you want to call them, data types. Absolutely. Right. And these data types consisted of strings. We had integers. We had floats, booleans, and then there was none type. So we talked about these, the different types of data types. From these data types, we learned a lot from these, right? Strings was uh, the fact that they are iterables, string methods, right? Even the string methods themselves, we have a variety of them. Dot upper, dot lower. One of my favorite ones, dot split, right? And that's just, et cetera, et cetera. And then we also learned integers. The integers, we learned that we can add, divide, multiply, and use exponents. Another thing that we learned with strings is string interpolation, string concatenation, and a lot more. That was just day one. Day two was conditional, conditional, and data flow. And that's more of a title. But we learned conditional statements and data flow. The conditional statements were comparison operators. We learned about membership checks. We learned about if else and or s if elif else statements, right? And there could be some more stuff that we talked about here. Comparison operators can be a lot of things. Comparison operators could be greater than or equal, less than or equal to, not equal to. We said not, and yeah, what the not was one. What else was comparison operators? We also use and or for the membership checks, in and not in, if, elif, and else statements. We talked about these nested versions as well. That was day 2. Day 3 was your order data structure. So we talked about lists, right? Lists. We talked about values that they hold, creating, accessing, removing. We talked about tuples. This was also accessing, removing, creating. We talked about sets, creating, removing, accessing, methods. All these also had methods as well. Tuples had methods, right? Some built-in methods. Lists had built-in methods. We learned about dictionaries. And you look at this tool belt so far. Dictionaries. These dictionaries learn about how to create, how to access, remove, methods. And then there's even more nested properties on accessing keys, items, values, .get. For removing, there's only one way really. Methods, that could be, I guess, keys, items, and whatnot. We learned about loops. What type of loops? For loops. For I in range. We talked about within this for loops, we talked about accessing elements, manipulating data, right? We can create data in the loops. For I range as well, or in for loops, we also talked about slicing. Right? We talked about while loops. And it just goes on and on. Right? This is your tool belt. This is your tool belt. Now, you're not always going to need every single tool in your tool belt. Right? But it's important to understand these basic concepts. This is the basics of Python, and you have already been introduced to these, and you've been working with them up to this point, right? So they shouldn't be news to you. So when you're working with your exercises, these are the tools that you're going to be leveraging to come up with a solution, right? But pretty much, you notice the trend here: lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries, right? Even strings, how to create, right? How to access, how to remove, and they have built-in methods. All of these have those 4 characteristics. Now, granted, they all have unique ones, right? But as we were going through them, we talked about the most common ones. The ones that are in your curriculum, those are there for a reason. It's not just because I decided to throw content in there to fluff it up. No, we put in what was the most common that we use on a day-to-day basis that you will find. That's the the beauty of boot camps. We're not just gonna give you a bunch of bumbo jumbo, right? It's really just the meat and potatoes of what you need to know to get the job done, right? And this is what you need. Everything that you have learned pretty much everything that you need to know for Python except one thing, which is classes and objects, right? That is the next step from here in Python. But pretty much everything up to this point, is everything that you need to know to do anything with Python. Now, there's other stuff that you could use, right? That are nice to have. They're not must, but they're nice to have, right? Other built-in libraries that can help you do stuff, right? Frameworks that work with Python, right? Um, those are nice to have and nice to learn, and those are going to be very specific to a scenario or a situation, depending on where you're working, right? The company, what your role is, right? Um, for example, when I worked as a data analyst, uh, I worked with Python to build scripts. The scripts I was working with involved automating sending emails, right? But then if I am working in the backend, I might be using Python to be building APIs, right? Using Django. So Python can serve different purposes. And then when I was working as a data analyst, we use stuff like, just Jupyter notebooks. We use it wasn't exactly Python, but we were using Anaconda. We were just running raw Python scripts that were accessing our computers, um, operating system to access files, manipulate files, which you will learn later. Uh, accessing your emails, creating an email, adding subject lines and stuff like that. You'll learn this more, but that used a very specific framework and very specific software. Whereas working with like just backend and creating APIs will use different software. And that's other stuff that's going to be more specific to the job that you're doing and the role that you're working on. But everything else, like everything there, requires these basic principles. So as long as you know these principles, you can pretty much divert into whatever path you want to go to, right? So let's talk about our mini project for today. And as we do this, I want you to kind of just keep this in the back of your mind, right? When you are trying to do something, right? Uh, you need to think to yourself, what type of data structure do I want to use, right? What do I need a for loop? If I need a loop, what kind of loop? Should it be a for I in iterable? Should it be a for I in range? Do I want to iterate through each element, or do I want to iterate through a certain range of numbers, right? Um, am I gonna have to keep accessing data structures? If I am, do I want to use a list, or would it be easier to use a dictionary because it'll be easier to access, right? Um, how big is my data that I'm working with, right? Do I need to keep track of any values? If I do, what type of tracking do I need to do? Is it really, do I just need to keep count of how many times I'm doing something or how many times I've encountered something? Then you might want to just create a variable, set it to 0, and then increase or decrease the count depending on what you're doing. Right? If you have values that you're trying to like filter through, maybe I want to create another empty list so I can dump the items in there to hold on to them. Right? So what tools you use is going to depend on what you're trying to do. So you should be asking yourself, how do I do this, and what tool can I use to accomplish this task? Today, we're going to explore the power of Python and create something together. You guys can use the Jupyter notebooks here, or what I recommend, I think it's easier just to open up a Python file and code there. Jupyter notebooks can give you weird functionality. I mentioned this at the start of the course, so whichever one you decide to use, it's going to be up to you. Today and for the rest of our course, we're going to build a lottery simulator. Really, it's just today that works almost exactly like the Powerball or Mega Millions. If you haven't played the lottery before, here is a quick description of how it works. Newsflash: I've never done this. I've never played lottery. I don't gamble. Um, but if you have, then you probably know how this works. I'm going to talk about how it works. We're going to look this up for those who've never bought a lottery ticket. Every single time I go through this course, I have to look it up because I always forget how the Powerball works. Um, so we'll look it up in a bit. The Powerball lottery is a popular multi-state lottery game in the United States, known for its large jackpots and widespread participation. Players select 5 numbers from a set of 69 white balls. All right, so each white ball has an individual number from 1 through 69. Right, and one number, the Powerball, from a set of 26 red balls. So in total, I'm already seeing here that I'm probably going to need 6 different values here, right? 5 are going to represent my white balls. and 1's gonna represent my Powerball, right? In the case from a set of 26 red balls, I can kind of safely assume probably from a range of 1 to 26. We'll clarify this in a little bit when we Google this. Drawings are held twice a week, typically on Wednesdays and Saturday nights. Okay. To win the jackpot, a participant must match all 5 white ball numbers and the Powerball number. So the jackpot, I need to make sure that I match my winning numbers to what the Powerball number is. The odds of winning the jackpot are astronomical at about 1 in 292.2 million. This is why I don't gamble. Reflecting the game's design to build large jackpots that attract more players. However, the game also offers smaller prizes for matching fewer numbers, right? Which have significantly better odds of winning. So I already know that there's probably gonna be one way to win this game where I need to match all my numbers, or I need to probably set up some other kind of conditional statements that are going to check for other combinations, right? And that's the key word is there that there might be different things or different routes I might take. That the key there is that there's multiple different options you might go down this route. Therefore, I'm probably going to need some kind of comparison operator, right? If else statements, so where I compare my lottery winning numbers and to see what route I want to take. Right, so just from reading this, I've already come up with 2 conclusions. One, that I'm going to need 6 different values, right? 5 for my white ball, 1 for my red ball. 2, I'm going to have to do some kind of comparison operator where I have to compare my white balls and red ball to the actual pool, right? Tickets prices are generally $2 per day, and tickets can be purchased in most convenience stores, even online, right? So that's that. Let's go ahead and look up the Powerball lottery. So we can see a little bit more of how it actually works. Powerball.com. Reject all. How to play. All right, so we have to select 5 numbers between 1 and 69 for the white balls, then select 1 number between 1 and 26 for the red Powerball. You're going to choose your numbers on a play slip or let the lottery terminal randomly pick your numbers. So I could have 2 different ways of how I do this. I could, 1, automate this and just have it randomly select my numbers. So I could use a random module, which I know we haven't talked about, but we'll talk about today. I think we actually covered very briefly. Or another way is if I want to choose my numbers, then I know that there's a method for how to pass an input, which is the input method, right? So if I want to choose my numbers, I'm probably going to want to use the input methods and save them to some kind of variable. The Powerball jackpot grows until it's won. We're not going to replicate the entire game. The best way that we can accomplish this task is we're going to want to do a couple of things. From what I understand, we probably need to know what is going to be your numbers that you're going to have. 2, you need to know what is the results. So what was actually drawn, right? So we can compare it against our pickings. 3, we need to know the prizes for each combination. And then 4, I'm going to have to do the logic to compare my draw against the winning draw and see what I want. Right? Let's see what is the winning combos. Price charts. Here we go. Here's my price chart. Right? So if I were to match my 5 white balls and my 1 red ball, this is my grand prize. I see different tables here. So what we're going to do is we're going to ignore all these extra prizes here. All I want to focus on today for today's lesson, to keep it very simple, is going to be the first table right here. I think. Yeah, let's do that first table. Or really, it's going to be this one. I think that's what it's checking here. These are the same thing. Right, so this is what we're going to use to reference what our combinations should be. Right, so if for whatever reason, somehow I win this and my selected numbers and Powerball are equal to the winnings, then I should win grand prize, right? I should have some kind of output to let me know, oh, congratulations, you won the Powerball lottery, right? You have earned the grand prize, right? If I only combine my 5 white balls, I earn 1 million. 4 white balls in the Powerball, that's 50,000, and so on and so forth. We see that here as we go down the line as the prices get less. But here are all the possible combinations. Notice that the last two right here, these give me the same reward, but there's different combinations. So what does this tell you? If there's two combinations that give me the same reward, what kind of concept I might want to do, or what would that code look like?
Comparison.
A comparison, right? Be a little bit more specific. How would this comparison look like?
Or
Yeah, or right, we want to check if I combine 3 white balls or 2 white balls in the Powerball, then return 7, right? Or you want $7. And then we can do the same thing here, right? And now we're starting to think like code, right? How can I actually show this in code to win one or the other or both? All right, cool. I think we have everything that we need to go off of this. Let's go ahead and come back. So when it comes to actually starting your programs or your code, there's two ways I see people do. One, which is if you're starting off, I would not recommend this way because it can lead to a lot of confusion. But the first way is you immediately just start writing code. I don't recommend it, but if you're the kind of person that just needs to start putting stuff on the screen to see where your mind's at or where you go, then sure. Ideally, though, I would say it's better if you map out your strategy, right? What path do I want to take? And we do that by pseudocode, right? So we make comments and then we kind of talk about what each part of my code should be doing. So ideally, if I'm going to do this, I need to know what my Powerball combination will be. So create a variable with the Powerball combination, right? So this is going to be the actual draw that's being made. I'm also going to have to create a variable or S, comma, for plural variables maybe, with my ball pickings, I guess, or lottery combination. And how can we do this? Well, how can we possibly set up what our lottery combination can be? What should this be? Should it just be a regular variable? Should it be a list? Could it be a dictionary? What do you guys think?
set.
A set? Okay, yeah, that's a good one. We could definitely do a set. Right, we could definitely do a set. There's variables. How do I want to grab the numbers? Ask for input, generate random numbers, right? How do I want to do this? Do I want to ask for input, generate random numbers? Should it be 6 different variables or one data structure to hold all 6? Right? And if so, how are you going to differentiate between the white balls and the red ball? Are you going to have a list with 2 lists, one being the white balls and one being the red ball? Or are you going to have a dictionary where you have a key for white ball and then the value is a list of the white ball combinations and then another key where it's red ball and the value is the red ball? Or should you have 6 different variables where it's white ball number 1 is this number, white ball number 2 is this number, right? So here's where you start weighing out your options. What data structure, what tool in my tool belt, right, do I have in here that I can use to create these values? Which one do I want to use? What's going to give me the better result? What's going to be easier for me to work with? Which one do I understand the most? Right? later on, as you get better at this, you can start thinking to yourself, what's more efficient, right? Right now, I understand that we're still trying to understand this concept. So if you feel easier just creating 6 different variables, by all means, go for it. But don't just ignore the fact that you also have lists. You also have sets, tuples, dictionaries, right? So these are questions you're asking yourself when you're doing this little code. Like, what method do I want to take for this approach, right? So I want to create the variable for a powerball combination. So before I move on, how do I create the powerball combination? Should I manually add what the winning combo is? Does that make it fun? I don't think so. Right? Uh, generate random numbers. How? How do I generate these? And we talked about it briefly. I think I showed you guys in a different class, but there is a random module. Who can tell me what a module is?
Library.
It's another word for a library, sure. It's a library or module. Really, in layman terms, it's just a file. It's a Python file that Python created that is in the code of Python. And this module has the code logic to generate a random number. In Python, when you want to use a library that belongs to Python, we have to import it. And I know this wasn't part of the class by importing modules, but the way that you import a module is by the command imports, and then you type in what you want to import. So in this situation, we will be importing the random module. If you want to learn more about the random module, you can check W3 Schools. But the random module has a set of methods, and here is all the methods here. The one that you're going to be utilizing is going to be random, which returns a random number between the given range. And here you see the syntax for it. You have to type in import random, which is going to give your code, your file, your Python file accessibility to the random module. And then you can use the functions or methods that belong to it. How do I use them? Well, when you're ready to use the random function, first and foremost, you're going to have to call the random module. So you're going to say random dot followed by the method random. And the random module, the syntax for that is going to take a start and a stop. The start is required. It's an integer specifying at which position to start. The stop is required, an integer specifying at which position to end. And I want to let you guys know that this will include, now I'm starting to doubt myself. This should include the stop range. I think. Let me verify. Num is equal to random dot randint 1 through 2. Print num. 2. Yeah. So as you see here, it does include both. Let me add 3 just in case to verify. Yep. So it will include the stop. And I'm just double checking this because I know we get confused sometimes. Because I know when we are doing like range, range doesn't include the stop. It's going to be up to including. But here it does include that stop number. So it's good to know. But this is how you do it, right? So if I want to use random generate numbers, I might want to import random to use that the random method to generate my Powerball combination. Right, and then once I get my Powerball combination, I want to grab my lottery combination. How can I create the reward sheet, right? Or the prize chart? Ideas.
If else statements.
Not just yet. that would be comparing it. But mm, we could do if else statements. I was thinking, for example, I mean, we could do if else statements. I personally would maybe create a dictionary where the key is the combination and the value is the reward. And then once I do my if else statement, I check my combination to see the reward is. Um, Maybe this could be helpful. I'm not quite sure, but this is kind of where my mind might be going right now. But I might want to do something like this, or I might just want to add all this code directly in the if else statements, like Dante said. So here's a way, right? Maybe I'm gonna put a maybe here. Uh, but after I get my Powerball lottery, my lottery combination, maybe I might have a price chart. I want to check my lottery combo against the Powerball combo, right? To check what combination I got. Depending on the combination, print out the results, right? And this kind of feels like really what my program should be doing. These 4 or 5 lines of code here kind of already break down, or not lines of code, lines of comments, kind of break down the overall structure and flow of how my program might work if I want to replicate the Powerball lottery, right? What are some additional features I could possibly add here?
Allow the user to type in R or random to generate random numbers.
Okay, yeah, possible or would be nice to have. Would be uh choose between what was it called? What do they call it? How to play it? I was already here, I think. Let the lottery terminal randomly pick your numbers, right? The lottery terminal. So choose between 2 options: the lottery terminal, random generated ticket, or to choose your own numbers, right? So this might be a nice to have, a nice feature that before we start the game, prompt the user like, hey, do you want to use a lottery terminal or would you like to choose your own numbers, right? That's definitely a good feature to have. What's another feature we could use in here to represent actually playing the Powerball? There's no wrong or right answer, by the way. We're messing around with it and having fun. How can we represent the Powerball to make it more lifelike?
Well, one thing I noticed is if you're using the random module to randomly generate 6 variables, you'd have to format them to be 2 digits per variable to make it match. So if it's a single, so if it generates a 2, you have to format it to have a 0 before it on every single variable.
Is that how you want to do it? Does it have
Well,
to be?
I was just looking at the website and
So it's like
the pictures.
0, 1, 0, 2. Is that how they're written?
I think that's how they are on the tickets and the website you were showing us.
Okay. I would say that's nice to have. Let's and here, that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Andrew. Right? Do I have to strive to ensure that I check the formatting of this number to make sure it's exactly accurate? Uh, Maybe not at first. maybe at first I just work with this to see how it would work. Maybe just add random numbers, and then once I get a minimum viable product, I can go in there and polish it up, right? Make sure that it's actually working exactly how it should be. Maybe add uh two characters in there instead of just checking the random number, and then I would have to check what is the value of that item in this one. Only because I want to make sure we keep it dumb simple. But Andrew brought up a good point. Maybe we could do that. It could add an extra small layer of complexity for some people, but yeah, we definitely could do that, right? Check or uh, maybe use proper number formatting as the Powerball. But here's one thing that we could do. I would say another possible nice to have would be uh, play multiple times, right? So have a money count, a cost per ticket, right? And then play multiple times. So what if, right, if you buy more tickets, chances are you might have a higher chance of winning. So maybe as a user, how many tickets do you want to buy? Right? And you generate like a hand of different tickets. And then when you run this, you can compare all your tickets against the Powerball lottery, give you a higher chance of winning. Right? Cost per ticket, play multiple times. Uh, only buy as many tickets as you can afford. So stuff like this replicates really how a real person would work if they were to go in there and want to get a Powerball lottery ticket, right? Does anybody have any questions on this assignment?
Just one, just to verify. Each lottery ball pick has to be unique, correct?
That is a very good question. I want to say yes. I want to say yes. That is a great thing that you brought up. Uh, I think they have to be unique. So if you
I,
already encountered
I've
it,
played it before. I don't think it does have to be unique. I think you can choose the same number a couple of times, I think.
let's see. ChatGPT usually answers here. The five white ball
Oh,
numbers you
okay.
choose must be unique. That's a great question. So now you know as you're generating these numbers, you can't just let it generate all five. You need to make sure that whatever number it gives you, you don't already have it, and keep making it give you a number until it finds something that has not appeared yet. Right. So that's a great question, or something a great point that you made, Thomas. Thank you for bringing that up. Each of those five numbers must be different from the others. And then the Powerball does not have to be unique. That'll be from a different pool. So even though, let's say, uh, 25 already appeared in the white ball, so you could have 25 for the red ball. Okay, awesome. All right, so I think that concludes the first part of today's lesson. That's enough of a talk through, walk through, really. And the reason I really want to do is kind of show you where my thought process is when looking at this problem. Like as I read this, um, what it's telling me, right? Dissecting the keywords that it's bringing up, and how I can start thinking in regards to code, and how I would kind of approach this problem, right? So I kind of broke it apart, and then I would come here and then start adding code beneath these comments here to get a nice structure and keep me on track of what I'm trying to accomplish here. But yeah, let's go ahead and break up into our breakout rooms. Oh, Dante, thank you very much every single time for the attendance. Let me go and stop the recording right now. All right, welcome back, everybody. Here on my screen, you see the solution to Monday's problem. I believe the issue was that I was formatting the original dictionary and it was giving me weird functionality. So I just went ahead and restarted this from scratch. I created a US customers dictionary that I was using to add the items to. That way I wasn't manipulating the original dictionary. And then just to make sure that I got everything in here, at the end here, I'm printing out the length of US customers and foreign customers. If you add this together, that's equal to all the customers, so I know that I have the appropriate items that I need. Also, I printed them out earlier so I can see them. But if you want to see these, this is the result of this. So you can see I have no duplicates. If you're watching this from home or watching this recording later, you want to see the solution to this, you can see it. But here it is. And here is my output. I didn't see anything that wasn't a US number in here. And then the four numbers, it's just four numbers. So I believe I got this correct. It's good to go. Here's the code for those of you guys seeing at home. Just pause it and look at it. But all right, let's actually get into today's code. Let me go ahead and comment this out. And let's move our way downwards and actually talk about today's problem. So I saw different approaches of how you guys approach this problem. No right or wrong answers. I would say some more efficient than others. I'm gonna kind of just give this a shot, right? I don't have an answer key. I told you guys before. So there's probably more efficient ways of doing things. I can always go back and polish my code. But let's just get some code on here and see a different way that we might have done it. Your approach might be a little bit different than mine, and that's okay. But the one thing for sure that you want to take from this is use the loops, man. Like the loops, while loops, for loops, they're there for a reason, right? You don't want to be hard coding the power balls or the white balls or any ball in general. You should be able to automate this process to grab different inputs. You shouldn't want to just be hard coding what the winning lottery should be because it doesn't make it dynamic, right? It doesn't make it fun if you know what the solution is, right? So also you want to be able to randomize it because that's really how the Powerball should be. Every single time that something is drawn, the chances of being a duplicate are very slim. So let's give this a try. I'm going to create my Powerball combination. And there's different ways of doing this. We could definitely do individual variables. I think it'd be smarter to use a data structure, like maybe like lists or dictionaries. I saw sets as well. I'll stray away from sets right now. So we'll keep it very simple. I might take a dictionary approach. I think last time I did this, I took a list approach. So this time I'll take a dictionary approach. What I'm going to say is going to be Powerball. Pick. And I'm going to create an empty dictionary. That way I can have a key for my white balls and a key for my red ball. And I want to generate the white balls that are going to be the balls that are going to be the winning numbers. So the most efficient way of doing this is to run a loop, right? I want to run a loop to ensure that I'm able to fill out what my balls should be. I could right now, if I wanted to, I could at least set up the keys so I could do something like white balls, and it's gonna be a list, and then I can do something like red balls, and this will be it could be a number if I wanted to. I could just set it to 0, just as a default right now. I could automate this as well and create it in my for loop, but I might as well just add it in here. And then I want to create a for loop or a loop in general to fill up what white balls should be. White balls need to be 5 different numbers from the range of 1 through 69, and they should be unique. So I'm going to create a while loop here, and I'm going to say while the length of Powerball pick at key of white balls is less than 5. And what this is going to do, it's going to access the dictionary. It's going to grab the key of white balls, which is going to return my list. And it's going to grab the length of that list. Initially, the length of the list should be 0 because there's nothing in here. So this is checking if while 0 is less than 5, right? In short, we're comparing the length of our white balls to how many balls I should have. So while 0 is less than 5, I want to create a brand new white ball. So I'm going to say new ball is equal to, and I'm going to generate a random ball here. So I'm going to import the random module. I think I can do something like import random. No, I can't. Import random as R. This is a way that you can set an alias to a module so you don't have to keep typing random. So instead of typing out random dot randant, I could just say R dot randant. Set an alias here, right? So I'm using random so I can use the random function that's going to generate a random number. And I'm going to grab a number from 1 through 69, right? It'll create a random number for me. Save it to new ball. And I'm going to say if new ball is not in, and I want to check that list of white balls. And if it's not in here, I'm going to add it in there. Right? And this is going to generate a brand new ball added to that list. It's going to do this until that list is full. So even if I don't add a ball in here, because let's say I create the first ball and it's 30 and it adds it in there, right? And then next ball I get, it's also 30. It's going to check if it's in there and it's going to see, oh, 30 is already in here. So I'm not going to add in here. Well, this for loop is still going to keep running because the white ball list is still less than 5. So even if every single time, like for 100 turns, I don't add a ball in here, it's going to keep running until white balls reaches the length of 5, which is good. And actually, we could probably do something like r dot randant and pass in 1 through 26 here. So right off the bat, it'll just generate for me a red ball when it creates this Powerball pick. So this is one way of doing it. We can also do something like add this to a function. Define generate ticket. And we can pass it in here. And at the end, return Powerball pick. And this would generate a random ticket for me. And the reason why this might be helpful is because the Powerball numbers are going to be randomly generated. But what else did we say? We might want to use something like the lottery terminal to generate these numbers for me, right? So I could say something like, actually, I'll call this lottery terminal, right? Because this function here would generate for me a random lottery ticket. And I can do a different function to say lottery ticket. That's going to do something similar to this, but instead of choosing a random number, I'm going to pass an input in here. And I'm going to wrap it around the integer value to grab a white ball. And if it's not in here, I'm going to add it. But if it is in here, I'm going to tell the user this number has already been selected. Choose a different number. And then when I ask for a number, I'm gonna say choose a number between 1 and 69. And I'll add some formatting to give it some space here. We see here that the red ball was automatically generated here, so we'll update this one. We'll set it to 0. And then after the while loop runs, I'm gonna say Powerball pick key of red ball. Let me update this to be singular. Is going to equal input choose a red ball. And let's try this out. I'm gonna say print lottery terminal. Then I'm gonna say print lottery ticket and see how this works. So I ran this. The lottery terminal did exactly what I expected it to do. Notice here they created for me that Powerball ticket with the white balls. I see no duplicates. And then here's the red ball. And then it runs the lottery ticket one that requires input. So I'm gonna pass in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Choose the red ball. I'm gonna pass in 6. And here is that. Let me add some formatting here. And now let's do it with duplicates to see if it catches that duplicate for me. One, two, 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 3, 4, 5, 6. And there you go. So now I was able to create a function that will create for me the winning lottery ticket. And it can also be used to create a random ticket for me, for my user. And I also have a different function that can create a customized ticket with my choice of numbers. Right, so 2 different functions that can do 2 different things. But now I have the ability to do both. Do I have any questions on what I just did in this code? I went pretty fast, so please ask questions. No questions at all.
I mean, for my group, not at this point. We got stuck on the next part for a while where we had to compare to the what you won.
Okay. Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. All right. Well, let's see. Let's go ahead and continue then. So I'm able to create the lottery terminal function. So I could do something like Powerball draw is equal to lottery ticket. And then this will be player ticket is equal to, oh, this should be lottery terminal, my bad. Lottery terminal. This should be lottery ticket. And we'll actually set it to terminal for now because I don't want to choose my own balls. So I can expedite the process for now. But here I have the Powerball draw and I'll have the player's ticket as well. Let's go ahead and create a different function. This function is going to be check numbers. And numbers is going to take in we'll call it Powerball. And I'll call this one user ticket. And both of these are going to be dictionaries. Because we already saw here that these are dictionaries. So check numbers should be able to take in 2 different tickets. and then compare them to each other, right? I'm just kind of encapsulating this so I can reuse this code if I needed to. So now that I have the Powerball ticket and the user ticket, I want to compare these against each other. So how do I do that? Any ideas? No ideas.
My group was going along the lines of first we thought of trying to do a dictionary with each prize as the key and the Powerball slash white ball requirements as the values, since keys can hold multiple values. But since we were running slim on time, we just decided to do a bunch of if elifs and do the multi-conditional formatting to check that.
Well, we got this part. We got the part where we got the matches. So did a for loop and we did the dot count, but we didn't use dictionaries. We used lists. And if the count was the same, then plus minus or plus equal 1 to matches. So we were able to do that. We just we weren't able to compare it to the key.
Right. So really, what I just need to know right now, when I check my numbers, how many whites did I match up, and how many red, if I even matched a red, right? So really, how many of the whites did I match, and was I able to match my Powerball red ball, right? And then once I have that, I can check the price charts. But for now, let's keep it simple. Let's just check our numbers. We'll say white matches, and I'll set this to 0. Right, this white matches counter is going to track how many of my white balls I was able to match. So I need to check the Powerball white balls and the user ticket white balls against each other. So let's go ahead. We're going to iterate through the user's ticket. So I'm going to say for white ball in user ticket white balls. Right. This is going to grab the list that exists inside of the white balls dictionary. And I'm going to iterate through them, grabbing one white ball at a time. And then I'm going to say if white ball is in Powerball white balls, white matches plus equals 1. And then finally, I'm going to check if user ticket red ball is in Powerball red ball, or not in, because it's just a number, right? I want to compare if it's equal to it. If user ticket red ball is equal to the red ball, and I'm gonna say red match is equal to 0. All I'm gonna do is red match plus equals 1. And then finally, I'm going to return this. I'm gonna say return, and I'll return this as a tuple. I'll say white matches, comma, red match. And then let's go ahead and print out check numbers, pass in the Powerball draw and the player ticket. And let's run this to see how many matches I get each time I run this. There we go. One of these matched 2 white balls. That will match my red ball, but I did not match my white ball. And my luck sucks.
Yeah, you'd be broke.
Yeah, it would be broke. Look at that. Horrible matches. Oh my Lord. The
You-
chances of winning this is horrible.
Couldn't you just create a loop to keep running them until you get so many matches?
I could, yes. Um, and we could do that later. But as you see here, I'm able to check my numbers against my Powerball lottery. And this is good. Right now, I got something working. I got a ticket, the Powerball ticket. I got my ticket, and I can see if I won or if I lost. Now I need to figure out what did I win, right? So let's go ahead and create a new function, and we'll call this check prize. And this is gonna take in a matches, which is gonna be a tuple, right? This is gonna take in that check numbers, whatever returns from check numbers. So we'll say matches is equal to check numbers, and we'll pass it that Powerball draw and player ticket. We can remove this. And now here comes the interesting part. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna add some comments here so I can kind of just see what the prizes should be. Grand prize is 5 and 1. Actually, I'm just gonna do this into a dictionary. I'm gonna say price chart. I'm gonna say grand prize is going to equal to 5 or yeah, 5, 1. The next one is 1 million, and this is 5 balls, so they should be 5, 0. This next one will be 50,000. So we'll say 50,000. Maybe this is not the best keys names, but it'll work for now. This is gonna be 4, 1, I believe. Yeah, 4, 1. This should be 100. Should I change the names of this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm gonna change the names. I'll make this to prize 1, prize 2, prize 3. I don't like the naming convention of it. Prize 4. Let me just do this right. I have to keep track of this. Prize 5 is going to be, or what was prize 4? 4 white balls, so 4, 0. Prize 5. This is 4, 3, 1. Prize 6. And this is 3, 0. 2, 1, 1, 1, and 1. Okay. Prize 7 is 2, 1. Prize 8 is 1, 1. And finally, prize 9 is 0, 1. I believe that's what it was. Yep. These are my combinations I could possibly get. So let's go ahead and check. We'll say how can we do this? We'll grab if matches, and it's gonna be a lot of if statements because it's gonna be at least like 6 different if statements. If matches at index 0 is equal to price charts, price 1, index 0, and matches index 1 is equal to price charts, price 1, index 1. Then I'm going to say print you won the Powerball. Congratulations on your $1 million. That checks the first combination. If and really, this is very repetitive. This will be 2. And this will be 2. And we can make this probably easier in a bit. I just want to make sure we understand this. Oh, this is not $1 million. This is just you won the Powerball. You won $1 million. Elif. We change this to 3. Print. You won 50,000. Eventually, we're gonna get to here we go, where we check 2 possible combinations. If the matches of 0 and 4, 0, and 1, 0, and 4, 0 are equal to each other, or, and this might not look pretty, but you guys will get the points. Or price 5 and price 5. And if you guys see anything that I might be missing, let me know. Because I might be getting tunnel vision here. You won $100. Ain't nobody too happy about that, but it's something. That took care of the 4 and the 5. Right? Next will be the 6 and the 7. So this would be 6, 6, 7, and 7. Print. You won $7. Six, 7, 8, 9. Okay. But honestly, anything else? We don't have to check the last one. Right? I don't think we do. No, we do. Because what if we don't match anything? Right? So we never mind. We do need check. We do have to have an else statement. And this is gonna be 8 and 9. And I know it's very deliberate. I just want to make sure we all understand what we're doing here. Print. You won $4. Else. What a loser. Cool. There we go. Now we have the checked prize. So we can say check prize. We'll pass in matches. And I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna run this a couple times. I'm gonna say print. No, I'm saying for I in range of 100. And they should create a lottery ticket. They should create a ticket for myself. I will get matches. I check matches and I'll know what I got. Let's give it a try. Oh no, there's no way. What? I suck that bad. Okay. Let's run this again. I won a couple times, so I know it's working to a certain extent. Let's make sure the other ones are working. It's not just a fluke. $4. I really want to make sure this is working right. $4. I've only seen 4 and 7. I have yet to see anything else. $7, $4.
It's just like the real lottery. Your odds are like 1 in a couple 100,000.
Right. I want to see at least $100. Okay, let's change it up a little bit. Let's clear this out. And I want to see not only my matches if I won, but I also want to see uh Powerball. What does matches do again? Check numbers. Yeah, let's see matches. Make sure that it's accurate. Well, and do matches, and then what was the other one?
You're only taking in one argument
You're
for
right.
that one.
You are right. So I'm gonna go ahead and do print. And we get some weird functionality here actually, because I'm printing here and not returning anything. Um, Actually, we can run this above here. I'll print matches here. So 1, yeah, definitely. Okay, it's accurate. 2, there's none for 2 white balls. Gee, damn, this sucks.
Just
This is
just for testing purposes, can you create 2 variables that you define yourself and then pass those in?
which ones?
So create a variable for your matches. So create a new Powerball draw and a new player ticket with, 3 or 4 matching white balls and a matching Powerball. And then go ahead and pass those in for
Oh,
matches.
yeah,
So
that's a good call. Let's try that out. Let's go ahead. Let's remove check price, but here we'll pass in 5, 1. And here we'll pass in 5, 1. And this should give me the grand prize every single time. And I am not. Oh, I'm getting an issue here. My bad. I am getting line 84.
it wants dictionaries for the check numbers.
Check
Right?
numbers. I want to do check prizes. Oh, my bad. This should be match is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's taken in 2 dictionaries there for check numbers.
check numbers takes 2 dictionary. I'm getting so confused in my own code. Okay, white matches, red match. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I need to do check numbers. This should be a dictionary where we have white balls.
That, or you could just erase the function call for check numbers and then just have it equal to 2 tuples. And then when you pass that into check prize, that should work.
Because matches takes the tuple, check prize, tuple. Oh, yeah. If I match 5 and 1. Yeah, it's working. 4 and 1. Yeah, match is working exactly how I expected to. It's horrible luck. I'm not getting what I want to get. Um, unless maybe I could probably be getting some weird functionality here, but this should not be giving me any weird functionality. Um, yeah, I mean the chances of these being the same are super slim, super slim. 1 in 200 some million, so makes sense. But yeah, we can see here that my if statements are definitely working. Um, do I have any questions? I think this kind of settles it here. We're not going to see anything grand work from the actual lottery itself because, as we saw, the chance of it actually happening is super slim. But notice that I was able to iterate through this multiple times. So I could essentially do something like I could create the Powerball lottery out here, and then um, I could say cost of ticket is equal. How much was it? How much was cost per ticket?
I think it was $2.
$2.
It's in the exercise.
Yeah, we'll say 2. Then I'll say ticket money is equal to 100. All right, we can do something like that. Very simple. Or I can say I got $46. And then I'll say uh while ticket money is greater than 0, uh I'm going to say if I'll say ticket money minus equals 2. Uh that means I bought a lottery ticket. Player ticket was purchased. I checked my numbers, checked prices, and at the end I can say I'm flat broke, right?
I think you have to adjust your matches again or
Well,
what you're
ticket
passing
money,
in
check number.
because that was 2 dictionaries. So that would be the outcome of
This should
Powerball
be
draw and
ticket money. No, player ticket. Player ticket. And this will be Powerball draw. All right. Thank you for keeping me in check. And there we have it. All right, I play a couple times. I won absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. If I want to add more functionality to this, I can make sure that this also returns a number value, depending on what match I got. So I could do something like, I don't know what the grand prize is. I'm gonna say 200 million. Return 200. This is gonna be an integer. It's just you can use underscores and integers to separate the values if you want to see where stuff is separated from. Let's use 200. This will return 1,000,000. This returns 50,000. This can return 100. Return 7. And then return 4.
you forgot a 0 in the million.
Thank you. This returns 0. and I could do something like money or profit. I would say profit. Profit is equal to 0. And every single time I run check price, I'm going to do profit plus equals the return that comes back from check price. And I can do something like profit and pass in, let's do a formatted string here. Profit, and pass in the profit variable. Oh, Lord. My wife would hate me. Hey, let's go. $8, baby. But yeah, there we have it, guys. 8, 400, 800, 8, 4, 8. Hey, let's go. One more. I got 1 4 this time. We actually got a match higher than 7, which is absolutely awesome. So we can see that it's definitely working. But the chances of it's super slim. Don't waste your money, guys, in the Powerball. You've seen it here. Not worth at all. Even if I played 23 times, what I'm making back is so slim. But that's going to conclude today's project of the Powerball lottery. Um, Notice that I did everything in functions, right? And what this allowed me to do, and the reason why we love functions so much and we teach functions and why functions are so important in Python is it makes your code reusable. I'm able to, instead of hard coding this over and over again or pressing the run function, I can just set a while loop in here. And this could be like define, play, game, and I could really pass in here something like um let's say what I want to call it, my budget, maybe my budget, and I can pass in here. My budget will come in here as well. Ticket money. This will be budget. So while budget is greater than 0, I would run this. So I can play this for as much money as I have, right? And then I can kind of do this where I have something like Tamika is gonna play, right? She's gonna play the game. She has a budget of $100. We can do Alex has a budget of $40, and Thomas, he's got money like that, so he's got a budget of 1,000. And every single time I run this, every single one of these guys gets to play. Oh man, look at that! You actually made some decent money. Oh, you did not. You actually wasted a lot of it. It took you $1,000 to make 225. Let's see the other players. Um, you played a lot actually because you had $1,000. You won $100. So this is Alex. So Alex made actually a decent penny. He actually made profit here, $40, but he won 100. This is what Tamika was able to make with $100. 8. Sorry, Tamika. Try again next time. Right. But yeah, this is the cool stuff about functions. It allows you to reuse your code. You're able to kind of format it all into this way that if you wanted to have more players to run this multiple times, you wouldn't have to type it over and over again. You just create it into functions and then you just reuse it over and over again. Do I have any questions about anything that I did today? Awesome. Well, that's going to conclude today's class. I know today was a lot, right? It was a lot. I understand if today felt a little overwhelming or there's a huge learning curve. Uh, I want to make sure I make this very clear to you guys and everyone back home. The live technical assessment is not going to ask you to do anything like this, right? We're not gonna ask you to do something like this. This is I might be making it too simple, but we might ask you something like create a function, uh, a function that iterates through a string and counts how many vowels appear, right? That might be a little too simple, but it's gonna be somewhere along these lines. You're not gonna get anything crazy like create the PowerPoint game, right? So do not feel discouraged if you feel like you struggled today, right? Or you felt like the learning curve was too high. Do not think that this is going to be the standard for you guys coming in. It is not. Absolutely not, right? What this does for you, although the difficulty is a little bit more difficult, it's kind of shows you, it gives you an exercise where you can apply everything that you have learned. So it puts you in a situation where you have to think critically, right? You have to use the skills that you have to break a problem apart into smaller problems, um, while at the same time having fun with it, right? This is not what we expected to do for the live technical assessment. It's going to be closer. If you want a level of difficulty, the level of difficulty will be somewhere around the same line as the questions and the coding assessment for part two, right? So those three questions that you have for the live, for the technical assessment, not, sorry, I misspoke. For the part two application, those three questions there, that's the same level of difficulty that you will have for the live technical assessment. All right, so you're not going to get anything like this. If you feel a little discouraged today, don't. This is just a nice little project to be able to bring all the tools that you've been learning, every single concept together and see how it's being put together, and then give you the ability as well to try to see if you can apply these on your own to something that's kind of fun, right? So don't let this discourage you. You guys are doing absolutely great. I sent it in the chat earlier. Um, you guys are doing really good for where you guys are at. We still have like 2 months before the deadline. Um, you guys have enough time, maybe a little bit less actually, but a little less than 2 months. But you guys are in a very good spot, right? The purpose why we teach this course this early on is to ensure that you have between now and the deadline for the part two application to refine these skills, right? And build upon, right? So your learning doesn't end after the end of this course. Really, now that you have the tools and you sat through these coding challenges and the assignments, and you've done the exercises, you have enough that you can go and do other exercises, work on maybe some code wars, or maybe expand your knowledge with other self-paced courses. Um, I recommend books. I like the Python Crash Course. That's a really good book that I recommend. Um, but really, nothing stops you from messing around with uh just concepts in general, right? Who says I can't just open up a blank Python document and say something like, hold on, let's see. I'm asking Copilot right now to generate for me a dictionary of students, right? If you struggled with dictionaries, if you don't even know where to start when accessing, this was really quickly. I asked it to give me a dictionary of students to practice dictionaries. And it did just that. 5 seconds worth. And now I have a dictionary I can practice with, and I can practice accessing dictionaries. For students in, let's see. Yeah, for student and student, break student. Right? I had someone wondering how to print out the keys, how to print out values. So here I go. I see it's printing out the keys. I can infer here that when I do a for loop on a dictionary, it's going to return to me the keys, nothing else, no values, no key value pairs, right? Okay, well, let me see what happens if I do dot values. I see the dictionaries here. Okay, well, let me go ahead and update these dictionaries. What if I want to update attended today? Um, I can say something like for student data. Let's call it data because I feel like that makes more sense. student data. I want to access attended today and set it to false. And then at the end, I want to print out student data and see what it looks like, right? Nothing stops you guys from practicing. I'm getting something weird here. Oh, not student data. Print out students. There we go. False, false, false. Nothing stops you from asking ChatGPT to give you dummy data to rehearse these concepts, right? So if today, when you were working through this exercise, if you saw a noticeable weakness on lists, you just couldn't, for the love of you, like understand how to the life of you access these lists. If you struggle with the for loops, if you didn't know how to access a dictionary, if you were struggling with these built-in methods that come with strings, integers, lists, dictionaries, you can do this, right? Nothing stops you from opening up a raw Python file, asking for some dummy data from ChatGPT, and then just practicing manipulating this data, right? Rehearsing how to manipulate values, right? How to update, how to remove key value pairs, right? How to iterate through keys, how to iterate through values, how to iterate through both key value pairs, right? How do I do that? Students, I think these are IDs, student ID, comma, student data in students dot items. How do I grab both keys and values? So practice this as well. Student ID and student data. And let's see what this gives me. There you have it, right? I'm able to access both key value pairs, right? If you struggle with dictionaries, you can do this. And I say this because this is one of the things that's going to be one of the things that's going to be expected of you to know when you guys go through your live technical assessment. So the learning doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop after the program. Make sure you guys are practicing the fundamentals and you understand how to work with these data structures. Do I have any questions? Awesome. That concludes today's class. Let me go ahead and stop the recording.